Hi guys, this is Klazart with an audio commentary, and this time I'm commentating on the ever 2009 OSL Round of 8 matchup between Flash and Jaedong. No, this is not a comeback commentary, rather consider this a little Christmas present from me to you guys. And what better way to celebrate Christmas than to watch these two behemoths of the StarCraft universe slug it out in what promises to be an epic matchup and promises to be a great fight. This one single fight, which is raging between a larger battle, a greater war that these two have been fighting and slugging it out over for supremacy of the StarCraft universe. This is Flash, of course, the Terran giant, who has been standing alone now, who is left standing alone against wave after wave of brutal Zerg and strike after strike of Callous Protoss. Jaedong, of course, continuing to want to assert his supremacy in the StarCraft world. I have to be honest with you guys, it's been a long time since I watched a StarCraft game, which is part of the reason why I haven't been doing too many commentaries lately, just a lack of time to keep up. I know I should have probably made a farewell video or something like that to tell you guys and explain things a little bit better. Unfortunately, I felt a clean break was probably the best anathema for my addiction. And one of the reasons why I can't just do one game a month is because I would end up, I don't think I could stop at one. But this time I'm hoping to for Christmas. And I have mechanisms in place to ensure that Mrs. Klazart is standing by with the various lethal implements if need be. This is going to be played on Fighting Spirit, and again, I haven't watched a lot of StarCraft this season. I've mostly just been following the reports. I just haven't had the time to watch a lot of games, which is again part of the reason why I'm not doing a lot of commentaries or doing commentaries, because really in order to be able to keep up with the build orders and keep up with the latest strategies and of course the rivalries, you need to be able to watch. But I've just had time barely to been reading up. I mean, unfortunately, World Crisis after World Crisis keeps turning up, and Klazart is needed. And that's how it works, guys. We've got Flash in the bottom left-hand corner in orange at the 7 o'clock position. We've got Jaedong in teal at the bottom right-hand corner at the 5 o'clock position. And it looks like Jaedong has sent his Overlord to scout in the correct direction. And this can be huge. These little things can be huge, especially from a Zerg player's point of view. I mean, if a Zerg player can tell exactly what his Terran opponent is up to, it allows them to adapt so much earlier, and means they don't have to play blind. And it's almost like I've discussed this before, the whole issue of the coin toss in Pro StarCraft. And as such, we don't really have a coin toss, but I think the direction in which you scout can be a little bit of a coin toss. And scouting in the correct direction early on can give you a huge advantage. It looks like Jaedong has decided to build another Overlord, so we might be seeing, I don't think we're going to be seeing an overpool here. We might be seeing potentially a 12 pool or a 12 hatch. And again, I haven't really seen any games on this map before, so I'm not sure what the ideal strategy is for Zerg on this map versus Terran players. But I'm really excited about this game, guys, and I think it's a great game to be commentating. It's just Flash has... Unfortunately for Flash, I think, even though he's been such a great player, he still hasn't been able to get that era of dominance that the other great Terran players have had. Players like Boxer, players like... players like UUV, players like Nada, who reigned for season after season after season, and Flash never really had that, and I think it's just because of the standard that's been there. It looks like Jaedong has gone for a 12 hatch, now sending a drone out to scout as well. He really wants to know what Flash is up to. Flash, meanwhile, has sent his SCV out to scout, and it looks like Flash's SCV is also going to be heading in the right direction. Meanwhile, Flash putting his first racks down, hasn't taken his first gas of yet, but Jaedong does look like he's gone for a 12 hatchery build here, and Flash is going to see that, obviously, with that SCV. Now Flash sending a second SCV out, and I think he was sending that just in... Okay, looks like I thought he was going to send that SCV out to scout, but once he saw that Overlord, I'm sure... And meanwhile, his SCV arrived at Jaedong's Natural Expo. He knew exactly what Jaedong was up to, and so he decided to pull back. Meanwhile, Jaedong now having put his spawning pool down. And it'll be interesting to see now that Flash has scouted that, whether Jaedong decides to put a third hatchery down straight away after that spawning pool, or whether initially he decides to play... with the 2 hatchery build. The Korean fans are packed into the stadium for this matchup. This is exciting. This is the business end of the OSL where things really start to get going. In fact, I think the OSL, in a strange sort of way, I think is more stiff in terms of its competition from even the round of 16 on, whereas I think the MSL takes a little bit longer to get going. The OSL, and looks like Jaedong has put that third hatchery down. So he's going for that 3 hatchery build, which was a favorite of my favorite Zerg player, that's Savior, which is a perfect counter to the kind of heavy macro style Terran play that we see from kind of the likes of Flash. Flash, meanwhile, taking his Natural Expo. So we are going to see at least a slightly longer game. Neither of these players, both these players scouting each other early, both these players opening up with pretty standard expansionistic builds. Jaedong now getting his extractor down, and he's got a couple of Zerglings out, but he's not putting any pressure on Flash's SCV there. He's not trying to get that SCV out of his main right now. Flash, meanwhile, Looks like Jaedong with his Zerglings is just going to try and put a little bit of pressure on Flash and try and force him back a little bit here. Flash with 3 Marines out, he's got that supply depot down. He's bound to be aware that these six Zerglings are on the way, and Flash with 1 SCV blocking behind 4 Marines should be able to fend this off quite comfortably. Another SCV comes out, Jaedong coming in with the Zerglings, they're just going to be warded off. And really, I'm not sure that Jaedong achieved much there. I guess if he managed to snipe an SCV, he might be able to achieve a little bit. But I think if he would have almost been better off focusing on taking that SCV out, scouting SCV out in his main, and denying Flash that continued scouting information, which Flash still has. Jaedong just chasing that SCV around with a single drone. I guess Jaedong doesn't really mind Flash knowing what he's up to for the time being, but I think it's always better just to leave your opponent blind. I mean, with a 3 hatchery build, typically Flash is going to expect Jaedong to get lair as he's doing now, and then to put that spire down. But Jaedong could always mix it up and do something different and surprise Flash. He could have put a Heartless Den down and gotten early lurkers and used those to defend his next expo. Flash meanwhile has got his second racks down, now getting that academy down, and we're entering that phase of the game that is crucial for Zerg players and for Terran players, where Zerg player is going to get that, where Terran player is going to try and put a little bit of pressure on the Zerg player, try and force him to put some Sunkuns down, force him to waste a few resources, while the Zerg player's objective is going to be to secure that third gas, to secure another base somewhere on the map, and obviously get those Mutalisks out and try and keep the Terran player at bay. Meanwhile, and that's where really the skill difference comes in, and we know how deadly Flash is with his micro and his gameplay. And it's just going to be interesting to see how Jaedong copes with this. These players have clashed a lot in the past. This map has fairly even statistics, 7-5 so far, Zerg versus Terran versus Zerg. So really, I don't think that's a statistically significant enough advantage or anything to write home about. So I think it's a fairly balanced map based on the statistics. So again, as I said, I haven't seen a lot of Zerg versus, I haven't seen a lot of StarCraft on this map. Flash meanwhile getting that comsat station down as well, getting that engineering bay down as well, and he's going to be well prepared for Jaedong's Mutalisks should those arrive. And the key for Jaedong obviously is just going to be, and Flash meanwhile ushering that overall away from his natural expo as well. Jaedong coming in with the Zerglings is trying to snipe that supply depot, and he's going to try and sneak in with those Zerglings. He needs to keep them back. Flash has got a medic out as well. Those Zerglings are going to be critical for Jaedong, because he's going to need those Zerglings in conjunction with his Mutalisks to hold Flash off, especially if he doesn't put any Sunkuns. And the other thing with those Zerglings is with the large group of Zerglings, it's going to keep Flash from really venturing out with his full force too far from his base without leaving something behind. Now Jaedong's going to be forced from Flash's pressure to put a couple of Sunkuns down at the very least,